gacchami. Buddham sharanam gacchami. Dhammam sharanam gacchami. Sangham sharanam gacchami. Buddham sharanam gacchami. Dhammam sharanam gacchami. Sangham sharanam gacchami. Buddham sharanam gacchami. Dhammam sharanam gacchami. Sangham sharanam gacchami. Buddham sharanam gacchami. Dhammam sharanam gacchami. Sangham sharanam gacchami. Buddham sharanam gacchami. Dhammam sharanam gacchami. Sangham sharanam gacchami. Buddham sharanam gacchami. Dhammam sharanam gacchami. Sangham sharanam gacchami. Buddham Sharanam Gacchami. Dhammam Sharanam Gacchami. Sangham Sharanam Gacchami.
Dumba Jumden de Java da Jumba Yandaba Zobe Sanje Rigba Dan Shamsu Demba Devara Sheva Jigden Kemba Kibu Dube Kalu Gyurwa Lana Meba Lada Menamje Dumba Sanje Jumden de Pejawa Shaja Tuba Allah Shaze Lo Chudu Jabzu Che Wo Dumba Jumden de Shewa Drajumba Yandaba Zobe Sanje Rigba Dan Shamsu Temba Devara Sheba Jigden Jemba Jebu Dube Kalu Gyurwa Lana Meba Lada Menamje Dumba Sanje Jumden de Beja Wa Shaja Tuba La Chaze Lo Chudu Jabzu Che Ho Dumba Jumden de Jen Sheba Chajumba Yandaba Zobe Sanje Rigba Dan Shabsu Temba Tewara Sheba Jigden Kemba Jebu Dube Kalu Gyurwa Lana Meba Lada Minamje Dumba Sanje Jumden de Pejawa Shaja Tuba La Chazelo Chudu Jabzu Che Ho Sanje Chudan Soje Chonamala Chanju Padu Tane Jabzu Che Dagi Chushe Jibe Sonama Je Dola Penje Sanje Drubara Sho Sanje Chudan Soje Chonam Allah Janju Bado Dane Jabzo Che Dagi Chushe Jibe Sonama Je Dola Penje Sanje Drubara Sho Sanje Chudan Soji Chonama La Chanju Pado Tane Jabzo Che Tagi Chushe Jibe Zonama Je Dola Penje Sanje Drubara Sho. Good morning. How are you? Enjoying the spring? So, in last class, we touched on the importance of relying on one's spiritual mentor or spiritual teacher. And I have this image here, Milarepa. I think everybody knows about the story of Milarepa, how devoted he was to his teacher, even though it appears that his teacher, Marpa, was very unfair, very cruel. But to him, Marpa is a Buddha, and whatever Marpa was doing for his own sake, in order for him to tame. So because of that attitude, because of that pure attitude, Milarepa was able to cleanse or purify all the negativities that he had accumulated in this lifetime as well as in the past. And through the blessings of his Guru, Lama Marpa, he was able to achieve enlightenment in this lifetime. So we need to look up to Milarepa. And when there are challenges, definitely we will encounter challenges. So during those times, we must understand that we have to have this openness that, or there may be other reasons for my Guru in doing this. Because in Lamrim it says why we need to rely properly is that Kechela Gyong Mebichers. So when we follow, when we rely properly, so for us there's no real loss, but instead there are benefits. So why not? But of course I have been emphasizing, you need to find a qualified teacher, a reliable teacher, one who is qualified to be one's Guru. So sometimes what happens is people just chase after fame and name. When there is some lamas who are very popular and famous, they just got so enchanted. And then, we have a saying, Asata le yoga, shugulu le tuas. So at that time, we seem to have so much faith and devotion, but that was very short-lived. It doesn't last long. So we need to really see the qualities of the Lama. When we are able to see the quality, then whatever devotion or faith that we generate, that becomes very firm and solid, so nothing can shake it. You may hear all kinds of stories, but your belief or your faith is very firmly founded. So all this cannot shake your faith and devotion. So there is this very nice quote or saying. It says, "Sodan tabu changai parje sena deisel, tongde tabu chilabin ngudub chungna tei chungs." So this is one way of what you call that, adopting an attitude. So we get angry, or we started to criticize our gurus. One reason is when Lama scolds you. So here it says, when you receive scoldings, when your guru scolds, he says, "Sodam tabo tangai," he says, a guru scolding is like a wrathful mantra. So if there is any obstacles to be removed, it says that would remove our obstacles. So that's one way to look at Lama's scoldings. Another way it says that Tongdi Tabo Chilabins. So when Lama beats you, it says that's the blessing. If we are to receive any attainments, that should enable us to achieve any attainments. So we need to have that kind of attitude towards our Guru. I think I mentioned earlier, one time there was this, in Ganden Monastery, there was this attendant to, I think it's a former abbot. So this abbot has some kind of we call it soglung. I don't know what is translated. He gets agitated very quickly. So there's a lot of beatings happens. So when the Lama beats him, what he does is he will just take on that, and he has been praying that may all my negativities will be cleansed and purified. As the Lama is striking him, he is saying this. So that's the attitude. And Lama passed away, and the reincarnation has come. And that monk is still alive, still healthy, still looks so happy. So it could be because of that attitude. So that's important. I wanted to emphasize on that. If you don't take somebody as your guru, it's okay. But once you have taken somebody as your guru, then yeah, there are certain protocols, there are certain things that we need to follow. If we don't do that, then there are consequences. So we have to be careful. So now we, So now we move on to the next stanza. So it's the practice number 7. So practice number 7 is about refuge. Rang yang korwe zonrar jingba yi jigden la yi sushi gyobara nu tejir kang la gyamna muluwe kunjo gyamdru gyase lagli yins. So from here onwards, I think it is about the practice of the person of small scope. Remember, according to Lamrim, there are 3 types of practitioners. The first type of practitioners are only concerned about next life. They are not interested or so much concerned about achieving liberation or enlightenment. Their immediate concern is what would happen if I die. I don't want to be born in these lower realms, so I must ensure a good rebirth. That's their foremost concern. So from here you can see that the Dharma practice actually starts from that concern. So if we are concerned, if our concern is only in this life, then whatever practice we do is not a Dharma practice. In order to qualify as a Dharma practice, at least it has to concern future life. So a person of small scope is only concerned about ensuring a good rebirth. And then the person of the medium scope is not satisfied by ensuring a good rebirth, because there is no guarantee what would happen in the next life. And also, as long as we are in samsara, there is always incessant suffering, relentless suffering. So, upon seeing that, they strive to achieve liberation. So whatever they practice, it is in order to achieve nirvana or liberation from samsara. So that's the person of medium scope. and then we have the person of great scope. So these are not only concerned about achieving nirvana for their own sake. To them, it is ungrateful to abandon other sentient beings. Just try to achieve nirvana for oneself. That kind of attitude is considered as selfish, because other sentient being has been very kind to us. So therefore, the concern is to benefit them. In order to benefit them, one needs to achieve enlightenment first. So they are concerned about, or they are motivated by helping others. For that reason, for that purpose, they strive to achieve enlightenment. So these are three types of persons when it comes to Dharma practice. So I think from here, for the first two following two stanzas are in relation to the practice of the person of small scope. So here it says, bound himself in the jail of cyclic existence, what worldly God can give you protection? Therefore, when you seek refuge, take refuge in the three jewels, which will not betray you. That is the practice of Bodhisattva. So he's saying that now that we wanted to extract the essence of this precious human rebirth, we need to do something. But at the moment, we don't know how to get out of this, how to even take the essence. So for that, we need to seek a refuge. So we can seek refuge in many things. So here is saying that first of all, seeking refuge in three jewel, or let's put it this way: seeking refuge is a practice of Bodhisattva, but not in every God. The object of our refuge needs to have some qualification. So here it says, refuge in the three jewels which will not betray you. That means if we really take refuge in them from our heart or wholeheartedly, we will be not deceived. We will not be betrayed. They will save us. They will guide us. They will liberate us. So who do we go for refuge? Are the worldly gods? Are they worthy of our refuge? Here says no, because bound himself in the jail of cyclic existence. So the worldly gods, they themselves are in samsara. They themselves are trapped in the samsara. They haven't achieved liberation. So there's no way they can save us. It is like if we want to save somebody who is drowning in quicksand or something, the one who is trying to save the person, to help the person, need to be out of the quicksand. From there, if you are outside that, then one can throw a rope or something, I don't know, a piece of wood or whatever it is. One can try. But you are also in the quicksand. No way you can help the other person. So we have already covered this. Remember, we talked about the four qualities of Buddha. Rang jigpa thamje le towa. That means the Buddha himself is free of all fears. that means Buddha has achieved. Buddha have attained the state of fearlessness, which is enlightenment. So we need to seek a refuge to someone who himself or herself is free from suffering, who has achieved the state of fearlessness, who has achieved enlightenment. And another reason why Buddha is worthy of going for refuge is that Buddha is skilled in the means of training disciples. Even we have all the qualities, if we have all the knowledge, but if we are not skillful, if you don't know how to help the other person, then your knowledge is useless. Even if you try, won't be that effective. So Buddha is very skillful. So Buddha, mainly the reason why Buddha is skillful is because of the omniscient mind. Because Buddha can see what suits the person. So that's why Buddha has sometimes taught the existence of this, the inherent self. But other times taught that there is no such self. So it is all according to the audience inclinations. There were times where Buddha did not even answer. Buddha remained silent. And they say that just remaining silent proves that Buddha is omniscient. Because there's this argument that when Buddha was asked whether there was a inherently existing I or not, Buddha remained silent. And the opponents use that to say that, you see, Buddha is not an omniscient. If Buddha is omniscient, then he would have answered. He didn't know the answer. But to refute that, it says that it is because Buddha is omniscient, he did not answer. He remained silent because he knew that remaining silent is the best answer. Sometimes, remember, we also say that silence is the best answer. Buddha knew that if he say yes, it will affect a certain group of people. And there's this danger that they may develop this wrong view and started losing faith in Dharma, in karma, in three jewels. So it is better to remain quiet, remain silent. So Buddha, my point is that Buddha knows each and every the inclinations, the predilections or the inclinations, the mental dispositions of each and every sentient beings. So Buddha will teach accordingly. So that's why Buddha is skilled when it comes to showing the path. Even if you are skilled, let's say if you have attained the state of fearlessness and then you are skilled, but if you are not compassionate, if you don't have the compassion, if you don't have this genuine wish to help others, then Buddha won't help. I mean, it won't be that much of a help. But Buddha is compassionate. The whole purpose of Buddha's struggle or the strife that Buddha made to achieve enlightenment was driven by compassion for all sentient beings. So Buddha is compassionate. And then, even if you have compassion, but if you are biased, if you help only those who offer material things to you, who are close to you, if you have this kind of discrimination, then it's not really worthy of the object of refuge. But Buddha is not like that. Whether you propitiate Buddha or not, whether you make offerings to Buddha or not, Buddha's helping hand is always stretched towards us. The loving or helping, shall I say, hook is always there. Or the ring is there. We need to create that hook. So that's what he's saying. Bound himself in the jail of cyclic existence, what worldly God can give you protection? They are not worthy of refuge because they won't be able to help us. So if we are taking refuge in these worldly gods, we are wasting our times. They won't be helpful. So who should we go to? So we should seek refuge in Buddha who has that quality. So when we see that Buddha has these qualities, the teachings that Buddha teach, we can take it as worthy of going for refuge. And then those who follows the Buddha's teaching and those who have gained realizations. So we have Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. So taking refuge in the three jewels, Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, is one of the practices of Bodhisattva. Shindu soge nyansong tongye nam, tikbe leji debur tube song, tejir sola pabja tikbe le, namyami che gyase laglenyins. So now, after taking refuge, what needs to be done? Remember the way the three jewels protect us is through showing us the path. And then we need to apply the instructions Buddha has given. Nyegi kyola tarbe lamdöngi tabarala rale shebrajis. I have shown the path to liberation. Nyegi kyola tarbe lamdöngi tabarala rale shebrajis. So whether you achieve or attain liberation is dependent upon you. That's what Buddha said. So we need to follow the instructions. Tijir jamdo what is shine ngendu meje tengme ba teyin ji jo kunjo sunu tijir jamdo shindu tembada teye labja nyamba mebar cha tenya kana lende leksamne lando sujin tubla rale sos. So Buddha's main advice is abiding by karma. We we strive for happiness, and we work so hard to prevent suffering. Nobody wish to experience misery. And when it comes to happiness and joy, we are insatiable. Nothing is enough. We want more and more. But then, from our own experience, we end up being in the state of suffering. So Buddha knows that. And that's why Buddha said that if we want to be happy, then stop engaging in negative karma. If we want happiness, engage in virtue. So he says, the subduer said all the unbearable sufferings of bad rebirth is the fruit of wrongdoing. Therefore, even at the cost of your life, never do wrong. This is the practice of Bodhisattva. So it is about the karma. So in order to really follow karma, we need to first develop this faith in karma. I always emphasize on this point. It says that Lende majang war chö toto wala gawani kyabwe tengdo kharsik badan das. If we ignore or neglect our actions, if we fail to develop the faith in karma, then it says that chasing after all these other great teachings, all these, what do you call those, esoteric, is it? Those special teachings which we always like to chase after. So he said it's useless. It is like building a house on ice because there's no foundation there. When sun comes out, when it becomes warmer, it started to melt away. And then that building will collapse eventually. It says, this is from Adisha, Yidam lai she sigba wejang lende la yichi tembo shik toba gas. If we are able to have a vision of a deity like Yamantaka, it is considered, wow, such an achievement. But Lama Adisha says that it is even better if we are able to develop a strong faith in karma. The reason is that if we have a strong faith in karma, we will naturally avoid engaging in non-virtue. And we will really put effort in cultivating even the tiniest virtue. Because we know the consequences. Not intellectually, we really have this conviction. So we need to, it is so important to cultivate this faith in karma, the workings of karma. In order to do that, we need to think through the 4 characteristics of karma. I hope you all remember that. First, karma is certain, or karma is definite. Virtuous karma will give rise to happiness or pleasant experience. Non-virtue give rise to suffering and unpleasant experiences. There is no such thing as you do negative action and then you will experience where the result will be a good one. There is no such thing. But we know that, but because we don't have the conviction, that's why we continue engaging in non-virtue. Our understanding remains at that intellectual level. There is no real conviction. And then karma multiplies. Even if you commit a tiny one, if you fail to do the purification, it will multiply, and then eventually it will become a big one. So that's why it is very important for us to always engage in purification practices. I always suggest that we do prostrations on daily basis, either 3 in the morning and 3 in the before going to bed, nighttime, or just three times a day, whatever time suits you. Maybe in the morning, maybe in the evening before going to bed. This is as an antidote, as a purification practice. Whatever negative actions through our 3 doors we have committed in that day. So do prostrations, offer 3 prostrations, and then dedicate towards purifying that negative actions that we have created. Some of the negative actions we know, some of these we don't know. So it is good to say that whatever negative actions I have committed through the 3 doors, may all that be purified, and then offer the 3 prostrations. So normally we say that when you put up here, imagine that all the negative actions that we have committed through our body, the physical ones. And then here, when you put here, through the speech, the negative actions that we have committed through the speech. And then when you place this palm, this folded hand at your chest, at your heart, then imagine that all the negativities committed through your mind be purified. So if we are able to do that on daily basis, we are able to, at least if we are not, it can completely purify. If not, at least it can prevent from multiplying. So that's still good. But if you don't do that, it will multiply. That's one. And then, the other 2, the karma le majebata metebas. We will not experience any result that we have not committed. And then whatever we have committed, sooner or later we have to experience this if we have not purified that. So it's a long time, has passed, so we will not experience. There is no such thing. No matter how much time has passed, when the conditions come together, we will experience. So from this lifetime, we know that mostly our day, in one day, we engage in negative actions quite a lot. And then how many lives we have taken in the past. And combine all that together, it is like unimaginable. So it is important to really, first of course, to really minimize or really try our best not to engage in negative actions. And then on top of that, do these purification practices. So it is important to set our motivation in the morning. That will help us. Remember, I always suggest that in the morning you generate this mindset that today I will not engage in the 10 non-virtues. Of course, not to engage in all the 10 non-virtues is difficult. So whatever you can, so you can just go through those. Today I will not engage in the 3 of the bodies, 4 or 3 of the speech, or for all the 4, and then 3 of the mind. Whatever number you can abstain from engaging. So you set up your motivation. And then throughout the day, try to remind yourself. So that's the way to go about. See, we are able to do that. One day leads to a week, and then week leads to a month, and month leads to years. And then when you look back, you will be proud. Okay, I have done this, I have done that. So that's what this is about. Therefore, even at the cost of your life, never do wrong. It's not easy for us, isn't it? When we see a small benefit, we have no hesitation. If lying brings or results in us earning extra $3,000 or extra $300, many of us I won't say many of us, but many people will not even hesitate. And some people sadly think that, oh, that's so clever of them. So here it says, therefore, even at the cost of your life, never do wrong. This is the practice of Bodhisattva. So if we want to be a real Bodhisattva, so we have to observe the karma. We have to live our life by karma. Never engage in negative actions. When it happens, purify, and always try to cultivate as much virtue as possible. So that is the practice of Bodhisattva. Shindo soge nyansong to nyenam. No, just finish. Sisum dewa zaze sebashin yuzam shiji jigbe chojenyen namyang mingju tarbeyon gobancho tondo nyawa gyase laglenyens. So from the I think from the number 3, so it's preparing for this one. Remember, letting go of this life, the concerns for this life. So from there is we are being prepared for this one. This is the renunciation or the aspiring for liberation. So now this is the practice of the person of medium scope. Namda nyechung mevar sizo yi tenre tuenyer shiwe tab mela. Sila kamba yi jang lujen nam kune chingjir. Tongmara nyechung cells. That is in the three principal aspects of the path. So here says, without pure renunciation, there is no means to pacify the yearning for the joys and fruits of samsaric ocean. And as craving for existence chain us thoroughly, at first search for a true renunciation. So when, remember, the person of the small scope is concerned about ensuring a good rebirth in the future life. So here, they're not satisfied with that. Because even if we are able to obtain a good rebirth in the next life, but in that next life, we also need to die. And then there's no guarantee that the next life will be a good one. So as long as we are in samsara, there is this danger. First of all, there's this danger of falling into the three lower realms. And even when we are in samsara, even if we even if we achieve a good human rebirth, even if we achieve the Deva birth, but it's also filled with suffering. Suffering is part of samsaric life. So that's why we need to first develop this aspiration to achieve liberation. So it's like dew on the tip of a blade of grass. Pleasures of the three worlds last only a while and then vanish. Aspire to the never-changing supreme state of liberation. This is the practice of Bodhisattva. So what really prevents us from practicing seriously, or what prevent or what hinders our practice to become a pure practice is because of our attachment to this life and future life. So that's why the first earlier it talks about letting go of the concern for this life. So even in the principal aspects of the path, it says, Tejurnyega tsela lomeba yila kombe sedi nangshedo. So in order to cultivate a genuine renunciation, first you need to let go of the concerns for this life. And then you need to let go of the concern of the future life or the samsaric pleasures. So here, as you habituate in this way and when not, by cultivating in mind that this human life is so hard to find yet has no time to spare, preoccupation with this life will cease. By contemplating repeatedly the truth of karma and samsaric suffering, preoccupation with next life will come to cease. So what will happen is when we are able to see the faults of the pleasures of this life, then to us it's like this life is not important. This life is temporary. The future lives are more important. So our whole view will change. Then we will kind of, all these worldly things chasing after material things, fame, name, all this become like a peripheral thing, unimportant, trivial, but the main goal is to ensure good rebirth. So that's what happens when I'm able to let go of the concern for this life. And then we think of the karma, how karma works. So as long as you are under the control, under the influence of delusion and karma, there is no freedom from suffering. We are always undergoing suffering. So what prevents us is that we see all these worldly pleasures as a quality. We see these are useful and beneficial. But here says, like dew on the tip of the blade of grass, pleasures of the three worlds last only a while and then vanishes. In the morning, a dew is formed on the blade of grass. But first of all, grass is very tiny. And whatever dew is formed there, it won't last. When the sun comes out, evaporates, either falls down or evaporates. So likewise, all the prosperity in this samsara, all the pleasures has no essence. Aspire to the never-changing supreme state of it. So first, let's just go through this. We have covered this. Remember, there are 8 types of sufferings and 6 types of sufferings. So in order to generate this renunciation, so first, renunciation. What is the renunciation here? And what is the measurement when of generating that renunciation? Here it says, as you habituate in this way, and when not even an instant of admiration arises for the prosperities of cyclic existence, and when the thought aspiring for liberation arises day and night, at this point, true renunciation has arisen. So that's the goal. So when we are able to have these 2 things, the first one is we are able to prevent this admiration. At the moment, we are so, we have this admiration for the worldly things. So when not even an instant of admiration arises for the prosperities of the cyclic existence, when there is not even an instant, when there is not even a moment of admiration arises for the worldly things, and at the same time, the thought aspiring for liberation arises day and night. So all the time, you want to achieve renunciation. You want to be free from this cyclic existence. So in order to develop that kind of attitude, we need to really contemplate on the faults. At the moment, we see qualities instead of faults. So in order to help that, so first we need to think of the faults of uncertainty. Our friends, our wealth. There's no certainty. A friend can be friend in the morning, but can be an arch enemy in the evening. Even your relationships change. There were times where you cannot even afford to separate for even a moment. But then, yeah, there were times where you cannot even stand that person for a moment, for just one moment. So as long as we are in samsara, all the samsaric things, it is uncertain and then full of insatiability. Nothing satiates us. We are never satisfied. There's always dissatisfaction. So that's why we say that the worldly pleasures, worldly happiness, or what we call the suffering of change, these are not really happiness or joy. These are not really pleasure per se. These are, is what we call the, in relation to the earlier experience. The earlier experience was so severe, so bad, that the other experience becomes like a pleasure. But if it were a real pleasure, let's say if you go out in the snow, if it's too cold out there, you will be cold. But when you come into a heated room, for first few minutes, you will enjoy. It's so good. It's because that the outside experience was so bad, so unpleasant, that this becomes enjoyable. But if you remain there for maybe like half an hour, you cannot stand that. If you go out and then outside, you will find it, oh, it's much enjoyable. So it's all in relation to your experience. We think, we kind of perceive it as pleasurable, but in reality, there's no real pleasure there. If there is a pleasure, real pleasure there, then the more we experience, the greater our pleasure would be. But it is not. That's why it is called the suffering of change. The more you engage in that, it changes. It no longer is pleasant. Let me give you an example, my own experience. When I was at Anthony's house, during winter it was quite cold. I had to be always wear layers of clothes, even in my room. But when I move into this apartment, I can walk in my just t-shirts. It's so pleasant. But then I started to develop sore throat after going for CT scan and all this, and I found out that it was because of the dryness. My throat was allergic to the dryness in the room because it is very dry. And I had to buy a humidifier. So 2 humidifiers are running in my apartment, one in my bedroom and another in the living room. And that's not all that. And then I realized that in my bedroom and all this, the closets, there's this stuff, the white stuff started to form. First I thought that there was dust, and I covered the hangers with a cloth to prevent dust. I was surprised that I'm not at the roadside. How come so much dust? And the closet is always closed. But despite covering another layer of cloth there, it didn't stop. It kept happening. And then I realized that it was not really dust. It was because of the moist. Because of the humidifier, it is somehow causing this white stuff on my clothes. And then the suggestion is I have to buy a dehumidifier in the closet. I didn't buy, but I bought those hangers which comes, I think it's packets there. Somehow it absorbs the moist. And I think I have like 7, 8 in my closet, and they all have collected. There is a bag under that and collected the water there. So you see, nothing really is perfect. If you have this one, it goes on well for one, and then you have started to have some issues. And then when you fix that, there's another issue. When you fix that, there's another issue. So this is samsara. Nothing is perfect in samsara. It's the fault of insatiability. And then the fault of repeatedly losing one's life. How many times we have taken? We have treasured so much, we have developed so much attachment to this thing, but it has to change. We have no control over it. And then the fault of having to take rebirth repeatedly. The fault of constantly fluctuating from high to low states. In terms of wealth, you can be a billionaire today, but you can be a pauper by evening. And recently I came across, I think, where is that actually? I have taken this picture. If you can see, Bill Huang had 20 billions, then lost it all in 2 days. In 2 days, he lost his $20 billion. Today you can be the president of America, which is like the leader of the world. And then next day, you are nobody. You are just ordinary citizen. So fluctuation. And then we have the other types of suffering. The suffering of encountering the unpleasant. Nobody wants to encounter unpleasantness. But we counter that all the time. That shows that we have no freedom. We have no choice. And the separating from the pleasant ones. We don't want to be separated from pleasant experience. But it happens all the time. And then not getting what we want. This is the big thing, isn't it? Disappointment. One cause of unhappiness is the disappointment. We are disappointed because we don't get what we wanted. But if we are able to contemplate and go through all this, the faults of the samsara, then when things don't go as we expected, we are able to cope better. Because we know that this is the situation we are in. This is bound to happen. I always use the example. When your 30 years old car breaks down, you are not that angry. You accept it because you know that this is bound to happen. It's been old. But when your new car breaks down, then you will be disappointed. You will be angry because you didn't expect. Your expectation is contrary to that. You expected the car to run smoothly, have no issues for at least 5-6 years. So that's why it is important. Even though some people say that, oh, Buddhism is so depressing, it talks about all this suffering nature and all that. But if you are really able to contemplate, all that pain and suffering is easy to cope. Why commit suicide, people? Because it's unbearable to them. They cannot bear it. But if you have understanding of the samsara, it is unlikely that you will commit suicide, because it does not become so unbearable. You already have expected. Remember, Kadam Lamaba used to say that when you fall sick, he says that this is something has happened that is bound to happen. So instead of being shocked, you shocked for falling sick, you should be saying, you should be surprised. We should be surprised that it only happened now. You should be shocked that it didn't happen earlier. So, contemplating on all through this, then we will be able to develop this aspiration, this renunciation. And that is aspire to the never-changing supreme state of liberation. Once we achieve liberation, it is permanent in the sense that there will be no suffering. We will have lasting happiness, lasting peace. So this is the practice. Aspiring to achieve that state is the practice of Bodhisattva. So now we come to the bodhicitta. So maybe I think we'll stop here and we will continue. I was hoping to finish this, the 37 practices of Bodhisattva in this semester. But from the looks of it, we are not going to finish. We are only at number 10, so there are still 26 more to go, and we don't have that many sessions. So we will take it slowly, and we will continue in the next semester. So we will stop here, and let's dedicate our merits. Tagi jinyi sabe gyawa de tendan jowa kunla kangpen dan kewara chuzun losan taba ye tenbe nyingbu ringdu seche sho jambe bawe chedara kemba dan kundu sambu tenyang teshin du teda kungi jesu talo je gyawa deda tamje rabdu ngo duzun shekbe gyawa tamje ge ngowa kangla chodo ngakba de tagi kewe sawa ndigun jang sambo chuji rabdu ngowar gi. Thank you.